right, all right. All right, we are live, I do believe. We are super excited to be here today. Today we're going to talk about objection handling because when you do make offers, there will be questions, right, that people have. There will be objections you have to handle. There'll be doubts even, right, that you have to address. So that's why today actually matters. So, all right, let's get right into it. Um, from the age of 16 to 29, I was asking girls to be my girlfriend. Some said yes, some said no, some had doubts, some had objections, and some had questions, right, that I needed to address. And that practice prepared me for the ultimate yes, the yes from my now wife, Phyllis, of 22 years, because I had to, ask her to be my girlfriend at one point before she actually is my wife, right? So she had doubts, she had objections, she had questions as well, and certainty, right, and confidence, and how you actually handle those objections, those questions, really matter because if you don't handle them, that's and if you don't practice handling them, then you're not prepared when you're ready to actually handle the ultimate objection or handle ultimate question, and really handle the ultimate doubt that will get you the ultimate yes that you really are looking for, just like my relationship with my now wife, right? So, um, handling objections is pretty much the same way, right? The more objections that you handle, the more sales you'll actually make. Imagine a potential client of yours. They hesitate, right? They hesitate after you actually make the offer. You panic, you over explain, and even worse, you discount too quickly, right? And the sale falls apart. Now imagine responding calmly, right? Clarifying doubts and showing value confidently. The client feels understood, trust grows, and the sale happens naturally. And it really has a lot to do with how you actually handle objections, how you answer questions, how you really remove doubt as well, right? Objections are questions. That's all they are. They're not rejection, right? Objections are questions, not rejection. So listen first, acknowledge the concern, and answer with clarity. Practice handling objections until it feels naturally to you. That's why today I am actually talking about why most entrepreneurs don't make more sales. They don't know how to handle objections. Again, objections are not barriers, they are actually signals. So, entrepreneurs who master objection handling close more deals, build confidence, and make sales feel natural, not pressured. So, welcome to the Anywhere Entrepreneur Live. We are all about the freedompreneur way, the freedom to live, to work, and to actually earn from anywhere. And objections handling is crucial in order for you to achieve the freedompreneur way. Last slide, we talked about building a personal brand that makes selling a lot easier. Today, we go deeper, handling objections so that sales happen naturally with confidence and without pressure. So by the end of this live, you'll know why objections are a natural part of every sale, how to respond in a way that increases trust, and how to close confidently without lowering your value. So if you have ever lost a sale because of hesitation, drop objection in the comment section. And if you are actually here live with us, again, welcome. Let us know where you're actually tuning in from. We are generally interested where you're actually tuning in from and really figuring out where you are actually at and where it is that you actually want to go. So let us know as well what you're actually dealing with when it comes to sales and conversions and how to handle objections. So, not every offer you make will get a yes. Let's get that very straight, right? You have to get over the fact that it is not you, right? Internally, you have to get over that. Objections, questions, doubt are just part of the actual process. Last live, we focused on personal brand authority. Today is about closing the loop, right? Converting authority and trust into confident sales by mastering objections. Look, I've been there, panicking when clients hesitate, over explaining or discounting myself and my offer way too quickly. Over the last 20 years, I've sold well over $150 million worth of products and services in all types of industries, and have personally have generated over $15 million in actual revenue. So um, I've also trained thousands of people on how to handle objections, and have learned that objection handling is really just part of the actual journey. So let's dive right into the very first, how you actually handle objections the right way, right? The very first thing is you have to identify the objection types. And really, there's only like five main objection types. The very first one is it the payout or the actual payoff objection? What we mean by that is when your clients are um, have doubts or have questions or have an objection, is do they have an objection and they're focusing on the payout, meaning the cost or investment that they're looking to pay out, or is it the objection or more based on the payoff, meaning if they invest this, do they have doubts, do they have concerns, do they have questions, right, about being able to achieve the payoff that they actually want, right? So you have to figure out which objection it actually is, which question they actually have. Are they focused more on the payout, what they're looking to invest, or they are more, hesitant about the actual payoff? If they invest it, will they get the desired outcome? That's what you have to look at. The second is I also identify the second type of objection is either more time or less time, right? Are they hesitating because this is going to add more time, meaning they're going to spend more than what they're already spending trying to solve that problem that they have? Or um, is this something that will actually give them less time, right? Meaning they will get there faster, right? Is it, what are they looking for? Is it going to overcomplicate things, right? Third is a type of rejection is either they believe in themselves, objection that they don't believe in themselves that they will actually do it, or objection of that they don't actually believe in you, that you could actually you're the right person that can help them get that payoff, right? Solve that problem, the challenge that they're actually faced with. Fourth type of objection is your way a better way, or is it not a better way than what they're currently doing, right? So the objection could be based on that. And then the fifth and final objection type is this going to be make things a lot more complicated for them, or is it less complicated than what they're currently doing? That's what we mean by identify the actual objection types. So either it's going to be objections based on the payout, what they're looking to invest, or the payoff, where they're looking to get out of this investment. Second is this going to add more time, or is it going to give them, right? Is it going to get them there faster, right? Is it less time for them to get to the desired outcome that they're looking for? Third is believe in themselves. Maybe it's themselves that if they said yes, they're like, I don't, if I'm going to invest in this thing, but I don't believe in myself that I actually will do it, right? I might get distracted, and I might not take action, I might not execute, right? Maybe it's themselves, right? It's not even you, it's themselves. So you have to figure out what their hesitation is about, and maybe it's you. Maybe they don't believe that you are the right person that can actually help them get the desired outcome. The fourth is obviously, is this a better way, your process, your method, your framework, right? Or is this not a better way than what they're currently doing? So if they're hesitating on that, let's figure out what they're currently doing versus what you're showing them to do, and see if, and really what you have to really prove and handle is that your way is a better way, right? And then the fifth and last one is this more complicated, right? Or is this less complicated? Right. So what they're currently doing right now, what you're going to give them is show them how to do things. Is it more complicated or less complicated what they're currently doing? Right. So you got to handle that. So identify, the very first one is identify the objection types. Okay. And then the second part of this is prepare responses, and don't sound robotic, right? The three steps in this is listen first, right? Listen first, validate, and then clarify. Listen first, validate, and clarify. And when you respond, right, make sure that your responses are prepared, but it also makes sure that your response does not sound robotic. So Had a client, we just use them. There's so many clients that I could use, but here's a client example. Um, a couple, right? They shared with us their struggles and their desires to scale. Okay, so listen first, right? Me and my wife listened to them. They own a dance studio and in Singapore. So we listened to them first, right? Clearly see that they want to scale, right? Any entrepreneur who does not want to scale, there's definitely something wrong, right? Or if an entrepreneur that wants to scale, but they're struggling to scale, there's also something wrong. So we have to figure out, we have to listen first to figure out what is wrong. He was an entrepreneur that wanted to scale, right? So obviously it's clear that he loves what he does and he obviously wants to scale, but there's a struggle, there's friction, right? There's something that's getting in the way. So we listen first. And what we ended up finding out was they're dance instructors. They've been doing it for almost 20 years in Singapore. They're actually world renowned. They've won world championships, right? World championships. And a lot of people come to them to learn how to dance. And what ended up happening is because they want to scale, um, the issue was more scaling equated to more suffering. Why? Because they were actually how they were delivering, meaning that they were the main trainers. They were the ones who were training people how to dance. And a lot of times they were doing it on a one-on-one level, right? So um, more scaling means that it's more suffering because I really I'm kind of burnt out by doing one-on-one training, right? So we listened to them, we validated their concern, and they had every right. They've been doing it for almost 20 years. So, and then we give them some clarity, right? We clarified. So, um, can we change, right? So either you stop doing what you're doing, which is shut down your schools, stop teaching people how to dance. Well, obviously that's not what they want because they actually love seeing people successful, right? So the clarity was really we just found up just through listening, validating their concern. The clarity was, can you still want to sell this offer? You still want to sell this product. So can you change the way that you deliver? Right? And so we ended up finding out that there's so many things that they could do. They could take some of their best students and turn them into trainers, for example, right? And then their trainers would actually do majority of the training, so they don't have to do it. So that obviously now scaling can actually happen, right? And then they can change. They can create another offer, an offer that is much more higher price point, higher ticket, and they can work with a select few. I said you guys could still do some of the training, not all of it. Have your most of your trainers do most of the training for everybody who's joining your school, but you now create a higher ticket where you then work with people, maybe just a handful of people that want a different result, or they want they want to be actually trained by you, right? And they're willing to pay for that because they're being trained by world championships, or they may want to be trained by you because they want a different outcome, meaning they actually want to win a world championship like you and your wife have done. So you raise your prices and you only work with a handful of people. So now it makes a ton of sense, that scaling doesn't lead to any more suffering for them, right? So again, when we um, responded to them, it was really thought out. It was really prepared because we listened, right? We validated and we clarified, right? We clarified, and when we gave that response, it wasn't robotic, right? It was natural understanding that the strategy behind scaling and understanding that in their current way of doing things, scaling, we found out by just through listening that scaling would actually lead to more suffering. So all we had to do was, do we change their offer? No, we changed how they actually delivered on their offer, right? So that's why we talk about listen, validate, and clarify. Okay. And then the third thing is you want to respond with confidence. You want to respond with confidence, not pressure. You want to address what they're dealing with calmly, right, and strategically. So using that as an example, when we listened to them, we knew right away that the only change that they actually have to make, um, not to change businesses or shut down their school and start another business, staying in the same business, doing what they're currently doing, but just really changing how they're delivering. So our response was confident and really calm and strategically. We gave them 4 or 5 different ways to actually generate revenue. One of the ways was, what if you went to an online model, where, right? So because their current model was, people would come in and they would get these free lessons, and we would provide those lessons, and then we would then make an offer for people to join, right? I said, well, why don't you, either two things, have your trainers do that part and bring in more students that way, right? Or what if you moved it to online, where people can actually learn from you from all over the world? They're not just having to learn from you physically in Singapore. What if you open up online, where you did some free lessons online? And again, you don't have to be the one doing the free lessons, right? Or if you didn't mind doing that, now you're opening up to the world. There's going to be more people. You're having more people log in and learning from you, right? And then you're making the offer one to many, and then, oh, that's great. The second thing was, what if you created a course where people can actually learn at their own time, at their own pace, at their own house from you, right? And it's automated, right? Third is, what if you did an event-based business where people, flew in or are able to log in online and fly, and maybe do a hybrid, and you could actually teach them, one to many, teach during your event. And obviously, the fourth way was the train the trainer, right? Train your trainers to be your main trainers of your students. And then the fifth one was, why don't you just do a higher price point, and work with a handful of people while your trainers are working with the rest, right? Maybe you work with the top 10% of your students, and then 80, 90% of the other students are actually being taught by your trainer. So again, we because we listened, we validated, we clarified. That's why the third step is very, very crucial. That's why we were actually able to respond with confidence, right? And not pressure. Okay. So type in yes in the comment. Again, if you're here with us here, if you're ready to start handling objections confidently, on your next call, or on your next event, or on your next meeting, just by applying these three things, right? To identify the objection types, right? What objection type is this? Is it the payout or payoff? Is it more time, less time? Believe in themselves, believe in you, believe that this is a better way or not a better way, or this is it more complicated or less complicated, right? And by preparing your response, and making sure that you're not sounding robotic, you're listening first, you're validating, you're clarifying first, right? And then you're ready to respond with confidence, not pressure, and you're ready to respond calmly, right? And strategically. Okay, so um, the implementation that you're going to do with this is this. What I want you to do is pick one, right? Pick one offer, pick one of your offers, and write down. It could be a low ticket, it could be a high ticket. It doesn't matter which offer. It could be a product, it could be a service. And I want you to write down the top three objections that you actually hear, right? Um, Craft it out. Craft a clear, confident response for each one, right? And then the most important is practice it. Practice it until it feels natural. Okay, until it feels natural. So if you want to master objection handling, confident selling, and conversion strategies around selling more of your offer, and how to actually overcome objections, answer questions, or remove doubts, and really how to approach in a much more calm and strategic way, then and actually selling without pressure. I am actually going to invite you to our Dream Life Dream Business Challenge. It's a challenge where we're going to walk you through how to really not just sell better, but how to market better, how to build a better business that actually serves your life, how to dive into lead generation, how to really identify who is your ideal client, how to really leverage both people, delegation, as well as automation, as well into your business, how to really get more, buy more, back more of your time as well, right? So that is what the challenge is all about. So I'm inviting you to that. So the link is actually going to be in the below here. So next live, we are actually going to be walking through how the wealthy get wealthier. They know how to close sales with confidence and not pressure. How the wealthy get wealthier, they know how to close sales with confidence and not pressure. So um, because once you master objections, the next step is closing with clarity. conviction, and ease, making sales feel natural for both you and your clients. So, for those of you who are actually going to be joining us our challenge, the link is below. We look forward to seeing you there. For those of you here at the live and you want to learn how to close with confidence, not pressure, then we'll see you on the next live.